I'm 280. This week, weather permitting, I'm going to try to get some mini skid content out there. Today we're going to start with the Huayee LHY480. I'll go ahead and do, we'll do our walk around, we'll do in depth. I don't really see a lot that can come apart on this machine as far as like access panels and such, like we have been doing on the excavator. So I'm not really sure if there will be much of that in this video, but if I do find something that's can be removed and it's beneficial for easy access, then we'll do it. But anyways, today's video, we're going to review the LHY480 mini skid steer. And then later this week, weather permitting, we're going to take this machine out to a buddy's farm. He's got some projects he needs done, and we've offered to do them for him so we can make some content. So it helps him out, helps us out. We get to put the machine to work, see what it can do, see what it can run, see what it can't do. So we got plans of that later this week. Couple things that I know for sure we'll try this week is we'll stick an auger on there. Of course, no doubt that's going to work. May even take a trencher. Let's see. I've sold a bunch of my stuff, so I'm kind of low. A bush hog. We'll take a bush hog. The bush hog is going to be a really good test for this machine because this is a 3-pump machine. So I haven't been on a machine yet that I could run a bush hog or a mulcher efficiently. Let me take that back. I haven't been on a smaller machine, gas machine, that I could run those attachments efficiently. I've ran mulchers on my diesel machine, and of course it's fine. But anyways, enough of that. Well, you'll see that later on this week. Today we're just going to review this machine. So I'm going to get it fired up. I may just pull it over here on this new pad I just did. We may review it outside today because the weather's actually kind of nice. All right, so I just went and grabbed the keys. We're going to fire this thing up. It's been sitting here, I don't know, for like 4 or 5 days. We just got back from Florida like 20 minutes ago. We drove down to Pensacola this weekend to get some oysters. Anyways, besides the point. This thing hasn't been started in like 4 days. So we'll see, if it starts right up or if it takes a minute, if I get the hood open. Just to give you guys, so you guys know, it's not hot. It's not been running. We'll do our little, grab our muffler, pipes, everything. Everything's cold. Not been ran at all. Okay? So, let's fire it up. Got our battery disconnect on. Got our choke on. Throttle. See if she'll fire. There we go. We'll let it choke for a second. All right, we're gonna pull this thing over. I ran over a backhoe attachment. All right, so first thing we're gonna do is just our quick walk around. Let you see the whole machine. Here's your control center. All right, I'm gonna open the hood. We'll look down in there. So nice heavy little latch. It's kind of thick. It's not real cheap and flimsy. Try to do this with one hand. All right, got it. So it does have a hood latch, but it's a manual one. It's not a shock. Shock probably would have been nicer, in my opinion. But a nice big hydraulic cooler, not uncommon on these. Of course, our fan's on the back of it. Here's the back of the engine. You can see everything's plumbed really nice. Hard lines too. Oh, a little water dripping. There's our pump. Hydraulic tank, battery. So pretty clean. Okay, so looking at the back of the machine first, as you see, there is a cover here. So I'm gonna take that off first. That way we can see that engine. And then there's a little cover here. No clue what's behind there, so we'll take that off as well. I'm gonna get everything uncovered, exposed, and then we're gonna go over some specs and everything of the machine. Okay, I'm gonna have to take a different approach out of these bottom ones. Okay, so these bottom two bolts for sure. The end ones here, you're gonna have to have a wrench, and yeah, you're gonna have to use the open end to take these out. They are directly lined up with the mounts on this stand right here, so nor up or down you can't get a socket or even the closed end box side of the wrench on those. So I don't love that. That's kind of annoying. I don't know why they couldn't have just scooted them over about an inch, inch and a half. That way you could have at least still done a ratchet shallow socket. But honestly, if that's the worst thing we find on the machine, then that's not a big deal. And really too, how often are you going to be removing this cover? I'm removing it so we can see what's back here, but you know, unless you're having issues with your machine, I guess really you don't have a reason to take this off. So again, not a big deal, but all right, let's pop this panel off. Kind of a snug fit. Comes right off. I do like the fact that this machine has the Briggs & Stratton Vanguard. I think that is you know, it's definitely any of the Briggs & Strattons are a upgrade over the Rados, 100%. But Huayee went a little further, in my opinion, and they stepped it up to the Vanguard, which is Briggs & Stratton's commercial series engines. So, you know, props to them on that one. They're just trying to stand out a little bit from anybody else. And in my opinion, that's one thing that sets them aside from other machines. So I just removed that little cover that was here too. I don't know why it's there. There's really nothing behind there. I mean, you can see down in there, but that's it. Maybe that's for when they assemble these. Maybe there's some reason they need to have this area open to be able to get in there once all this metal's welded together. Because all these side panels, all this is all welded together. None of this is. I'll show you the welds too. I think that's. I mean, I haven't really heard people complaining in person about welds, but I've read enough stuff. People do complain about the welds. So we'll look at that too, because from what I'm seeing, these actually look pretty nice. All right, so I just happened to notice these are guards on the side here. They actually come off. So I'm going to remove the grommets, and we're going to take this off so we can get to our tensioner, because I'm going to be honest with you, I have no idea if these are manual tensioners or grease tensioners, but I think it's a grease tensioner. And when I get this cover off, I'll tell you why I think that before we actually find out. I don't know the purpose of this cover. I don't necessarily see a benefit to why this cover's on there. I don't know what it could be for. Maybe it's just for aesthetics. It's just for looks. It does look nice. Looks cool. And you know, nobody else is doing it. So again, maybe just one of those things that they're trying to stand out a little bit. And then maybe it's for some sort of protection. That's probably why. Okay, so that makes more sense. So I think this is probably for protection on these rollers right here. These two, the front ones, your idler and this bottom roller. Oh, wow, those are together. Okay. Yeah, I think this is for protection, because when I just removed this, I noticed right away that this is really exposed. So I bet that's what that's for. It's just protection to help keep debris out from under these tracks and in these rollers, which makes sense. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, looking at my other machines over there, yeah, the bottom rollers are just completely exposed. So maybe this being on there helps keep debris out, which in the long term helps prevent tracks from popping. I'm assuming this grommet here, we're going to take it off. That's going to be our tensioner, and it is, and it's a grease tensioner. And the reason why I thought that is because if it was a manual tensioner, you would have had to have a much bigger spot. So these are a grease tensioner. I don't know why, but every time I see grease somewhere, I feel like I got to wipe it off. And then before you know it, I'm just covered in grease from head to toe. So there's just a little excess grease around this. I want to wipe it off. And then I'm just going to check this Alamite to see if it's seated completely. Yeah, that's pretty tight. I mean, I didn't even turn it a quarter turn, so that's pretty good. Just checking it because there is a cover over this, so I figure I might as well check that while I have it apart. Tracks are tight. These have not been adjusted whatsoever. This literally come off the truck in the condition that it's in. I haven't done anything to it. I'll show you the hour meter here in a second. If it's got any on it, it's from where they loaded it before they brought it to me. All right, so I want to talk about one thing real quick before we keep going. While we're already down here on the ground, I just want to go ahead and cover this track design here. So it looks, you've seen it on other machines. It looks very similar. You've got your big sprocket here. This is what your drive motor, this is attached to your drive motor. Of course, your idler down here. And then on the front here, you've got your big idler, and that is your tensioner, if you will. Again, this one is grease tensioner. So you pump grease in, this whole mechanism slides out, makes your tracks tighter. Track pops off, or you want to loosen it, you have to take this fitting out and then find a way. I have found a ratchet strap is the best. Tie a ratchet strap to somewhere up here, and then somewhere back here, crank it down. It'll push all that grease out. Boom, there you go. But that's not what I really want to talk about. What I want to talk about real quick is two things with this design that, yes, this is a similar design to other machines I've seen, but at the same time, it's a lot different, and I like it. For starters, these tracks, I can just tell right away that these are a higher quality track. I haven't looked at them yet. I don't know if they have a brand on them. I have yep, they do. I'll have to get that off in a bit. I can't read it upside down. But these tracks are much higher quality than what I see on the auction machines that I've had tons of. So that's one thing I like. They've stepped up and put a little better quality track on it. It's just, you can tell it's just thicker, and it's, I don't know, it's just, I don't know. You got, again, a lot of this stuff, guys, you just got to use the touch feel method. If you haven't seen one in person and you're interested in getting a Chinese machine, if you got a dealer close to you, you know, go look at one in person. Just go see for yourself. That's all I can say about that. But anyways, it's a nice track. The big thing I like, though, that I haven't seen on another machine, I'm gonna look real quick. Yeah, my diesel machine doesn't even have this. No, it does not. So I really like how this front idler and this bottom roller are all one assembly. So the reason why I like that is because I've noticed this has nothing to do with the grease, man. Words. This has nothing to do with whether it's a grease tensioner or a manual tensioner. Nothing to do with that. But I have seen on other machines where, matter of fact, I mean, I've seen all of them. Every one I've ever seen, your idler and your rollers, they're all just like this. They're mounted to the frame, and then you got this front idler sticking way out here that's just on this bar, whatever it may be, grease or all thread, whatever. But one thing I've noticed with those is if they're not just super tight, which you don't want them super tight, if they have a little slack in them at all, you can come up here to the front and you can jerk on this, and that whole front will actually flex and just makes a popping noise. So sometimes when you're driving those, you'll hear it pop, 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 just a little rattle, and that's what it is. It's that whole front assembly just kind of shaking. So with this design, it can't do that because you've got this idler pushing out, but you've got this roller pushing down. So I really like that design. That is a nice design. And again, I haven't seen that on another machine, not even my diesel machine. My diesel machine has the same design I was just talking about. The difference though with it though is the idler's actually not in the front, it's back here. So the little roller here is your tensioner on my diesel. But it's not, I like this design. But I wanted to talk about that really quick while I was already down here. The LHY480 comes with a nice set of tracks, name brand. I'll get that brand off and I'll put it on the screen right now. Okay, that's the brand tracks that's on this machine. I don't know if that's the same brand on all of them, but that's the brand that's on this one. But yeah, it's a well thought out design. Again, I haven't seen this on another model. I'm not saying that there's not another model that has this design. I'm saying I haven't seen it. I've had about all the auction machines. I'm a little newer to this more exclusive, higher end dealer stuff. So I'm learning, and you guys are learning too. That's what these videos are for. But again, I'm not saying this is Hawaii's exclusive design. I'm saying that this is the first machine I've seen it on. Okay. All right. That's enough about that. Okay. Let's talk about our command station real quick. So it's pretty simple setup, like most machines I've seen. Over here, 12-volt plug, choke. One thing I'll notice though, the choke, you can pull it out and it stays out. A lot of them I've seen, you let go and it sucks back in. You have to hold it. So that one does stay. Oh, real quick, everything's labeled. Look, 12-volt, choke, fuel gauge, oil temp, hour meter, throttle, ignition lock. Nice. Our warning lights, engine oil pressure indicator, oil cooler indicator, electrical indicator. So that's a nice, that's not nothing game changing, but it's nice they just take the time to do that. All right, keep going. So like I said, fuel gauge. One thing I like about the fuel gauge is it works, guys. Watch this. The fuel sending unit actually works. That's a nice touch. I've had a lot of these. Not these, but the auction mini skids, and the fuel gauge will work when you get it, or so you think it does, but you shortly find out that it's not working. But fuel gauge actually works on this machine. Turn that back on. So oil temp, of course, machine has not been running. There you go, hours. So 0.1 hours. This machine has not been run at all. It's brand new. Horn, if I can find it. Lights, which is up there. And our ignition, and then the throttle. I do like the throttle. It's not the twisty throttle, and it's not the button with the little gear. It's actually a nice heavy bar. But I like that. But there you go. That's your command station with your disconnect here on the side. And then, of course, your levers. Left track, right track. Oh, here you go. I'll just do it this way. So, left side is your left track, front to back, and your bucket up and down. Right side is your right track, front to back, and your bucket curl. And in the middle, auxiliary. So this is like a two-way lever, if you will. You can either push it for temporary, like if you're using a grapple, just for a second, or they lock. So it's got both functions on the auxiliary. All right, let's talk about our engine bay real quick. Of course, we did have to take this cover off, but as you can see, everything is kind of open now. One thing I noticed right away, different than the auction stuff, is all of my hydraulic hoses are, one, they're all nice and protected with a thick material. And that's actually crimped on the hoses. That's not a sleeve that's going to fall off. That is actually crimped onto the hoses. But that's the first thing I see. But that's not what I was going to say. The first thing I noticed I like is there's no hydraulic hoses laid on the engine anywhere touching the engine. They're all away from the engine, nice and neat. So you don't have to worry about any hoses getting laid up on the engine, getting a hole rubbed in them, anything like that. Another huge thing I see right over here, I seen this hose laying down here. I was like, what the heck is this? Look here. Yes, that is exactly what you think it is. That is the oil drain. So if you can see it, kinda, there you go, back in there. That goes into the side of your engine. There we go. And that's your oil drain. So that's super nice. You run that out here, open it up. You don't have to worry about spilling oil everywhere. Fuel tank is underneath the engine. The engine is mounted to the fuel tank, but that fuel tank is like an L-shaped tank. So behind the engine there, it comes down and then under the engine. Yeah. I just want to make sure I wasn't telling you wrong. Yeah. There's your fuel neck, but you can see it's thin, but then as it gets back, and you'll see in a minute, as it gets to the other side of the engine, it comes back up and it's real tall. Locking gas cap, air filter on top, oil fill and dipstick. Dipstick is easy to get to. Watch this. Sorry. Look, boom. Pull it right out. You can actually access it. Sorry, the camera's a little shaky right here, guys. Fuel filter, easy to get to. Another thing I really like, fuel pump, right on top. I don't have to disassemble any of this engine to get to the fuel pump. It's literally right there. Let's see. Anything else? There's the back of your battery disconnect. Oh, there you go. You can kind of see your valve bodies for your controls. All right, that's all that. All right, before we move any further, I'm going to show you real quick. You do got tie down points, both sides. Boom. And then also, boom, boom. But also, look at the welds. I'm no welder. Don't claim to be, don't know nothing about it. But that looks pretty good to me. Nice weld. Look, it's even welded on the inside. So it's not just welded here. It's actually welded all the way around. Nice clean weld, guys. Those look really good. All right, anyways. The hoses. You do have some exposed hoses right here. So they come out, they come up, and then they are protected, but you do have some exposed. So this is a hard line coming out, and then it elbows up, and now these are protected. Again, they've got the nice protection on them, and it's crimped on. But from here to here is a little exposed. Unless you're doing something you shouldn't be, it shouldn't matter. You shouldn't hang those on anything. I mean, you can see how much wider the machine is than where those hoses are. I mean, if you hook those on something, you're probably being reckless or careless. But anyway, so there we go back to hardline, and then that's covered with protectors. Hardline, back front here, yes, exposed. I don't know a machine yet that's not, but it has the nice wrap on it still. Banjo. Same way with our auxiliaries, all hard lines. Under the guard, protected, coming up. Same way over here. They turn down, go in the side. And the same way with our cylinders. Come out hard line, right into those cylinders. But again, all the rubber stuff is protected all over this thing. All right, I want to focus a little bit on the front of the machine for a minute. For starters, it's a nice paint job. I mean, it's just impressive. You know, they put a little bit of extra time and effort into some of the things they do, and they come out with a clean product. I mean, the paint job looks nice, but the fit and finish on all the steel is what I really like. I mean, from the attachments to just everything, it's so nice, and it's a great powder coat they use, whatever they're using. But anyways, what I want to talk about is this front here. I don't know if you can tell how beefy it is from your angle right now. I'll get a close-up in a minute, but I just want to do some measurements. First, I'll measure the bucket first. So your cut edge is 44 3/4. You're 43.5 from inside to inside on the bucket. And that bucket is on the flat part, 16.25 to the back of the bucket, 18.5 deep. 11 inches tall on the backs. And that is, let's see here. That's 1/2 inch plate. That's 1/2 inch steel right here, guys. 1/2 inch. So beefy bucket. All right, look right here, this arm. That is 3/4 inch steel right here. 3/4 inch steel. 1/2 inch steel. 1/2 inch steel. But what I want to show you more than that, I'm going to lift it up here real quick. But I want to show you all this right here. So, not the auxiliaries, but this bar right here, that all the cylinder, everything is welded to. I want to show you that because on a lot of machines I've seen posted, people are cracking. For starters, they're cracking welds all around the weld points on these things because, one, they're poorly welded. This one is welded completely all the way around on everything. But also, too, this is normally just a piece of channel right here. It's like a C channel. It runs across there. There's no support on the inside. And it's not 1/2 inch thick on other machines. I want to show you the way they built this one. Fire right up. All right, so we got it lifted up. And as you can see, and I'll measure it in a minute, but that thing lifts high. Ain't no auction units lifting that high. I don't know of any machine this size that lifts that high. I'll get the flat surface here in a minute, but here's what I want to show you. Just want you to see how beefy everything is. It's all 1/2 inch. This is 3/4. But look here, that C channel I was talking to you about, theirs is all boxed in. They've supported it completely. It's completely boxed. Everything's welded, top and bottom. Nothing is tack welded. It's all bead welded. So this is just a beefy setup here. Now this machine says it's rated to lift 1,700 pounds on their website. I don't think that's true. I think it's more like, let me take that back. It may be rated to lift 1,700 pounds, but we all know unless you're a 600-pound dude, it's not going to happen because this thing's going to tip. So yes, it may have the power to raise that, lift that, but without the proper counterweights, it's not going to. I'm being told about 1,000 pounds is what it'll lift when it gets tippy. We'll test it ourselves. We're not going to do that in this video, but we'll test it because I know what an auction unit can lift, and it ain't nowhere near 1,000 pounds. All right, so this bucket is all the way up. I'm 5'11", so as you can see, I mean, even my lower bucket pins are taller than me. So quick measurement. To the bottom there, you're 73.5 inches right here. That's pretty high. But also, I mean, what are you lifting with the bucket curled like that? So, but I just wanted to show you how high it lifts. I mean, if you were having to clear a trailer, you could definitely do it because even with the bucket level to here, you're still 73.5. I think. Let's check it. Let's get that pretty level. I just want to get the bottom of the bucket level for starters. All right, so the bottom of the bucket is pretty level there. And again, look, I'm 5'11". Tape measure don't lie. Almost 71 inches right there. So you can definitely get over 70 inches and then you can still dump. And again, that's with the bucket level. You know, if I had it tilted back a little bit, which is how you would do it if you were going to dump into something, it's going to be higher than that. But there you go, guys. 71 inches. Now let's dump our bucket. So that's our bucket completely dumped at max height. So I've seen a lot of these machines at max height. They won't dump enough to even dump the material out of the bucket. I don't think you're going to have that problem on this machine. I mean, that's almost completely facing downward. So I thought that was pretty impressive. You know, for the smaller machine, you do still have 71 inches of height. Another thing I wanted to point out, and if you've been around very many of these machines, you're going to know what I'm talking about. If you haven't, you're not going to know what I'm talking about, but just remember this. Next time you're around some, check it out. But so in between your track and your body, a lot of these machines have a thin 1/4 inch piece of steel that bolt to the main body, and then your track assembly bolts to that. Look here. This is a giant chunk of steel. Let me get this side because it's exposed. There's a giant chunk of steel welded all the way around to the body. No bolts. And that giant chunk of steel is this. So this entire assembly is welded directly to the body. Look. That is superior. I haven't seen another machine doing that. Another thing I wanted to point out before we get under the hood of this thing is with the arms lifted all the way up, you can still open the hood and latch it. A lot of these machines you can't do that because the hood gets in the way of the frame, but this one you can. Well, why is that important? Well, because let's say you're working down in there and you got to stand in front of all this on the ground in front of you. Now you're leaning over all that, the cylinder, trying to reach down in there. Well, like this, look, I can walk right up, get right down in there and work on whatever I want. Easy. Now, you will want to, one thing this machine doesn't have a stop for the cylinder here. So this can't come down on you. So if you're going to do that, find something, make you a stop, or find something to keep this cylinder from being able to close so these arms can't come down on top of you while you're working. But if you do come up with something to keep that up, I mean, that's makes it really easy to work on this thing. All right, let's take a look down in here now. So we got our hydraulic tank right in the front. We got our hydraulic filter under the red cap. This is our fill. Got some really, really big hydraulic hoses there. I mean, that's got to be 3/4 to an inch. I mean, those are just beefy. But they go down into our 3 triple pump. I'm just reading, guys. So this is pressure is 25 MPa on that pump. It is a TIANJIN something hydraulic machine, TJY. So he's making that pump. Battery. Got a valve bank down there. Valve bank down there. Back of the engine, you've got your, you got your oil filter there on my right side. And then your starter there on the left. And then again, there's your gas tank under that pump. But that pump right there, guys, that's what sets this machine aside from about anything else in the size category. Unless, again, there are a few name brand machines. Ripa's got a machine with a 3 pump. Durette's got one with a 3 pump. But you're not getting this kind of machine at the auction, guys. They did have one, CRT 23. Back last year. I haven't seen one sell in a long time, but they had some issues. They all got issues, but these had some notorious issues, so people kind of stayed away from them. But they had a 3 pump, so you could run some attachments on them. I don't know what the flow was on that pump, though, so I don't know if it would run them to the same performance this machine will. But again, we're going to test this machine and find out exactly what it will run. But just take a look at the craftsmanship here. All nice, hard lines, routed. Look, they're all mounted so they can't be moving around. And then note too, the screen mesh on both sides can be unbolted and removed in case you need access to work on this thing. Those do come out. Again, there's our engine dipstick, so it's even easier to get to back here. And then we've got our Hawaii. Ow, that muffler's a little hot now. We do have a Hawaii label on all of our valve bodies for our valves for our sticks. But there you go, guys. That's inside the belly of the beast. So I haven't talked about the platform yet. Let's look at it real quick. It's nice thick steel. It's got some. It's springy, so it's not a bumpy ride. It's got little stoppers here. I guess that's what your actual spring is on. But it's nice thick steel. It's got a nice thick rubber mat. Does flip right up. One thing I like about this, and if I had one of these machines for my personal use, this is what I would do. But the way this platform is made, this would be a great spot for counterweight. I don't know if Hawaii is going to come out with counterweight for these. I know they have counterweights on the way for the LHY680. I don't know if they have plans for the 480, and I don't know what the 680 counterweights look like. So they may be just what I'm talking about. I have no idea. But just something I thought about. This would be a great place to make you, I mean, you could come up to 2.5 inches of steel right here and taper it down just like this, down to a 1/2 inch, and then bolt that on and have a nice 100-pound counterweight right there probably. Just something to think about. All right, guys, now we've got a view of under the machine. I'm currently at the rear of the machine underneath the standing platform. As you can see right there, sticking down, that is actually a drain for the fuel tank. And way up there, sticking down to the left of that bolt, that's your drain for your hydraulic tank. But nice and clean. Again, you can see the welds where the track frame is welded to the body. Nice clean design. Okay. So I'm gonna put the panels back on this thing real quick. Then we're gonna go over the functions. I'll show you how it runs, operates. It's really smooth. Just moving it over here, I could tell it's just kind of smooth. But one other thing I don't think I've covered, and I'm hoping I'm not missing stuff, guys. If I am, just leave me a comment and I'll try to get you an answer for your question. But weight, people want to know what this weighs. This machine weighs 2,050 pounds. That is the dry weight. So you get a little bit, of course, when you add an operator, and then you get a little bit for fluids. But 2,050 pounds, what it weighs. It's beefier. If you see it in person, you can tell. This machine is, it's 41 inches wide. So it's beefier, it's bigger than a lot of your smaller units. Just standing on it, you can tell it's heavy. I mean, even with the bucket way up in the sky, I mean, it's hard to just get this thing rocking. It's just a nice, well-built machine, guys. Looks great, looks nice, but how does it perform? We'll find that out this week. Put a stump grinder on it. I know I got a stump I can grind this week. I can put the tiller on it. The bush hog is the big thing I know I'm putting on it. We're gonna do that test, and then I'm gonna do some tests too with the auction stuff this week. Comparable machine to this, auction machine, 2-pump. That's the difference. It is comparable. It is the same size machine, but it only has 2 pumps, which most of your auction units do. So I want to do those tests because I don't do a whole lot of commenting on the groups, but I want to. But I try not to be that guy because I don't want to crush anybody's, you know, some people can only afford the cheaper auction machines, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Those machines are great. They'll push dirt, they'll push rock, they'll push mulch, they'll move material all day long. But the part that bothers me is these people, some people are misleading other people, making them believe they can run all these auxiliary attachments on those machines. And I see people asking and the reason I know this, I see people asking all the time, hey, where can I get this for my machine? And then they post a picture of their machine. Well, you can't run that attachment for that machine. So I just want to clear that up. I want to make a few videos for some of this stuff. I want to show you the machines that can run it. I want to show you the machines that can't run them. And then I want to explain to you the difference of why one can and why one can't. That way, when you're making your purchase, you know, you're not just looking at price point anymore. You're looking at, okay, that machine's, you know, $3 to $5 grand, but is it going to do what I need it to do? Maybe at first, but the more you use it, you're going to realize how handy they are, and you're going to want more out of that machine. And as far as auxiliary attachments, moving and running attachments, you're at a standstill. You can't do anymore. So at that point, you have to resell, get rid of your $3,000 to $5,000 machine that's now used. That's, you know, hard to sell when you can get them for $3,000 to $5,000, and then upgrade to something that can run those attachments. So save the money up front just to upgrade later? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. So anyways, that's what I want to, that's my goal this next week, so I can get you guys those answers. So when you're out trying to make a purchase, you know, hey, if I have plans of running a mulcher, if I have plans of running a tiller, if I have plans of running a trencher, if I have plans of running a stump grinder or a bush hog, then I know what machine will do it and which one won't. So, you know, that $10,000 machine doesn't sound expensive anymore when you realize it'll run and do whatever you want, and it doesn't have limits. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, because there are still limits, lifting limits, obviously. But anyways, just again, this channel's for information. I'm giving you information. No, you might not all agree with me as far as, you know, what I like and what I don't like, and that's okay. We can all have different opinions there, but at the end of the day, it ain't about what I like. This is just about spreading factual information to help you guys be educated when you're out spending your hard-earned money on one of these cheap Chinese machines. I just got it back together. I'm gonna show you guys some movements real quick, and then after that, I want to talk about just real quick a couple things that I really like that I learned today that I've never seen on another machine out of all of them I've seen, even the more expensive brands, not just the auction machines. And then I'm also going to talk about a couple things I found that I didn't love. They're not deal breakers, but I just didn't care for them. But I'm going to hop on it real quick, fire it up, and show you guys the movements. What I'm showing you here is not really as much about the movements as it is just the smoothness. And the reason why I say that is because the sticks pretty much control about the same as all of them that have sticks like this. But I'm going to try to demonstrate some of the smoothness, some of the movements you can make with this machine. I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but I can tell you later on this week, you're going to see how it moves, because I'm going to put this thing to the test this week, if weather permits. I didn't even have to choke it that time. Oh, yeah, didn't even have to choke it. I'm going to give it a little throttle. All right. So again, for starters, so left stick right goes up. Left stick right, right stick right, throws your bucket down. Right stick left, throws your bucket up. Left stick left goes down. Again, about as simple, about the same as all of them. Drive controls, left track, right track. But watch this. I can go as slow as I want. I can barely push them and go slow, or I can go. Same way backwards. I can go fast, I can slow down. And I'm throttled down. I'm not even full throttle. But just look at the movements are just they're so smooth. A lot of the cheaper machines, you try to barely feather it, it'll jerk you. I'm not saying they're all like that, but this thing is just overly impressively smooth. Probably shouldn't be doing this on my concrete, but I'm doing it for you guys. Headlights. So I ran out of daylight. Had to move this party inside. Oh boy, let's see. 280, baby. Look here. All right. So before I wrap it up, couple things I want to talk about. Um, the one thing I'm super impressed with. Again, I haven't seen this on any machine, none of them. No matter the brand, I haven't seen it. Now I haven't seen every brand, but I've seen a lot of them, even some of the better stuff. I haven't seen anybody with this track design, and I don't know if the other Huayee mini skids have this design or if it's just this one. But again, that entire track mechanism, which is the yellow part down there, is welded, all one piece welded to the body. It's essentially with the body. It is a part of the body. I haven't seen anybody else do that. That is, my opinion, that's a superior design. I know these machines are still fairly new, but I will say I haven't heard anybody say a single thing about a track issue yet, and I'm curious if maybe that's why. Time will tell, but that is a superior design, and not only that chunk being a part of the body, but then the front idler as well being attached to the first bottom roller, those being one unit, is also a big deal. So that, honestly, out of everything I've looked at on this machine, that I'm probably the most impressed with those two things. That's just a very, very good, that's a very thought out design. And I think that's going to increase the performance of this machine versus competitors just in longevity. And again, maybe not having those track issues. Time will tell. But I see, I've had enough of the other machines and I've worked on enough of them that I kind of know that theoretically that design should be a lot better. Again, we'll see. A couple things I didn't really like. Like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't crazy about the just the bottom bolts there on that back panel. That's not a big deal. That doesn't affect the machine in any way. It just took me a few seconds longer to get it out because I had to use an open end of a wrench instead of a ratchet wrench or electric ratchet or a ratcheting wrench. That's not a big deal. I would like to see, maybe they put a shock on the hood instead of that bar. It's just, I don't feel like it's that much of a cost increase, and it's, in my opinion, it's just nicer. Pop that hood. I mean, they have a nice hood. It's a thick steel. It's not cheap, flat sheet metal. It's a stamped, nice hood. The lock is really nice on it. It's not one of the cheaper ones. But then I don't know, I feel like they should have finished it with a shock. And maybe I need to look at it more. Maybe there's a reason they didn't put a shock. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. Anyways, I'd rather have the shock. And then the other thing I wasn't too crazy about and that's not just on this machine, that's really on almost all of them. I only know of a couple that have this option. Man, I honestly thinking back, yeah, I only know of 2 that have this option. But I'd like to see them come out with a brace for that cylinder when you've got these boom all the way up in the air. Come out with a brace you can put on that cylinder. That way, because this thing they're all much easier to work on if you've got this whole front piece up and out of your way and you can just stand right in front of the body of the machine. So those are my 3 things that I thought, and again, none of those things are deal breakers. Those are all actually cosmetics, and those are all things that can be fixed or improved or modified yourself. So I don't think that's a big deal, but those are just 3 things that, if I'm spending this kind of money for that machine, those are 3 things that I would like to have. So I would if I was buying this machine, I would either try and, the 2 things you can modify, nothing you can really do about the bolts in the back. That is what it is. But again, how often are you going to remove that? But anyways, that's my rundown. That's my review of the LHY480. I haven't got to use it yet, so I can't give you any insight on performance. This video was, just like some of the rest I've did. It's a walk around, it's a review, it's a deep dive into the machine, seeing what it's made of, seeing how it's made, seeing how accessible everything on it is. That's what this video is about. Again, I've already mentioned it a couple times, but weather permitting, we're going to get into some performance of this machine this week. So hopefully I'll have some content on that up within the coming days. and we'll see how this thing actually performs. You can stand on this machine and you can feel the durability, the difference. It's just a well-built machine. Let's see if I can get up here. So again, I'm 280. Pretty stout dude, right? Well, anyways, guys, that'll wrap this one up. I hope you like this video. If you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe. These type of videos is what we're going to continue to do. Reviews, tests, comparisons. There's still so much to do. There's not enough hours in the day. I got a list of ideas of videos to do for a list of different machines that I have and some that I don't have that I want to get. But we just got to take it one video at a time. I appreciate everybody who's been watching, who's been following the channel, who's been growing with us. Appreciate everybody's support. Again, as I mentioned last video, my contact info is on my YouTube channel. Right under the description at the top, you'll have a link to my Facebook or my email. I ask that, if you just have simple question or something cool, just drop it in the comment section here. But if you want to talk about anything on the videos, just reach out to me on Facebook or my email. Be happy to help you out, give you some advice, answer questions, whatever you need. But that's going to wrap this one up. I'll see you guys here in a few days.